What's going on, people? This is your boy Lou back at you one more time. You know what it is, Wrestling Tube 101. Come on, people, subscribe, press that button above. You know what it is. If you like what you heard, if you didn't like what you heard but you were entertained, please subscribe. You can leave video comments, you can post comments, you can type them, whatever you do. Everything's going to pop right up. I don't block a thing. Anything anybody says is going to go right up to my page. So please, be my guest. But if you're gonna, you know, rebuttal with me, please do me the favor of being respectful about it, and just don't call me a complete prick, a douchebag, a jackass, and completely biased, and my opinion is complete shit. Or I don't watch the show, or whatever. Don't say that. I don't want to hear it. I've already had enough comments hearing about that, and I'm starting to see why people say in the YWC that, you know, people aren't allowed to really do what they do without getting criticized. So, for all you people that think I criticize TNA for being crap, these are some of the reasons why I love it. Here's 10 of them for you. Number one, I love the fact that you people are going to call me a fanboy for this shit, but it's in Orlando, Florida. I live in Orlando, Florida. I love that shit. If it was any other promotion, I would still go to it. But my point is that it's so awesome having a hometown promotion. When you go to a live show, it's fucking incredible. If you people haven't been to a live show, you got to go. The fans roar so loud. Even in that small building, it's no bigger than an indie venue. But that shit, because there's so many people packed in there, it's so fucking loud. It's amazing. And it's not spoiled for you by the people on the internet because you don't know what's going to happen in advance. I love the fact TNA is in my hometown. But even if I lived in Nebraska, way back in the day, I would have found TNA on TNA and real shit. So people don't call me a fanboy. Number two, I love the talent roster. The talent roster is fucking amazing. You got guys like Young Bucks, Kazarian, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Hernandez, Motor City Machine Guns, Beer Money, Kazarian, Brian Kendrick, Crimson, Amazing Red, the whole Mexican America thing. I said Hernandez, but I want to include whole Mexican America as well. The British Invasion, Matt Morgan. So these are factions or tag teams or X Division guys or heavyweight guys, and these are all great talents. And I think that roster is better than the roster that WWE has of guys that are relevant right now. That's just my opinion. I think that TNA has a way better roster. And I love TNA for actually starting to use these guys, which is number three. I like the leaps forward that they're taking. You can see, like, for example, the burial of the X Division, which was buried about a year and a half ago, is coming back. It's being primarily featured on shows every week. There's either segments in the back or there's matches, like the Kendrick versus Kaz match. That was amazing. You know, and it's set up for the pay-per-view because the next week, because Abyss interfered after the 11-minute mark after the referee started the match. He said, let's just have a three-way. You could see, even in the storyline, it was a build. And even there, it told a story, which is cool. And you could see in those kind of attempts, they are moving forward. You know, when you look at the fact that Sting's not champion, Mr. Anderson is champion. When they buried him in his last title run, I hope they don't do it here. And I'm glad they gave him the title because the man deserves it. I mean, because right now, he's the only real younger guy that's shooting for the title. You know, but when you look in the future is so fucking bright. And these leaps forward that I talk about are things like, maybe in 2 years from now, those aren't going to be the top guys anymore. You got your Matt Morgans, your Hernandez, your Crimson, your Samoa Joe, your Pope, Abyss, all the heat he draws would be amazing for it. Whoever he goes up against is going to look great as a face. Robert Roode, AJ Styles. What else do I got to say? They got so many guys that are going to be in great contention for this title. The future of the company looks so fucking great. And which leads me to reason number 4 is that every week all these guys are getting featured finally. It doesn't matter how they're getting featured. They're getting featured. I said it earlier, they're getting featured, but if they weren't getting featured, they'd never be able to build any credibility, especially with the people that have never seen these guys before. You know, for the people that just started watching TNA not too long ago, they don't really know the X Division back in the day. They don't know stuff about, like, you know, TNA having the international borders open where people from Mexico and, you know, Japan came in and they built up the X Division, even though the storyline was basically crap, like the whole World Elite thing, where he was Eric Young was against the management for treating him like shit after all that time. He finally turned into a man and manned up. But it went nowhere. The whole World Elite joined up with Main Event Mafia, and what happened to the whole storyline? It basically went down the tubes. Everybody forgot about it. TNA wrote it off the show. World Elite was never to be heard of again. The talent was featured. But that's my point. Even though I didn't like storylines, the talent was featured and they were great. And for a long time, they weren't talent. They weren't featured. And now they are. So thank you for featuring your fucking talent. That's my number 4 reason. And my number 5 reason kind of leaps into that a little bit more, because the only reason these guys are going to become relevant or they're being on TV is because most of them are going up against veteran guys who have a rep with the fans. And unless these guys go over these veterans, the fans are never going to take them viably. They're never going to be able to be the top guys in the fans' eyes, at least in 75% of the people's eyes. Not me, and probably not a lot of the internet crowd, but most of the majority of the mainstream fan base. Like Steiner put over Matt Morgan. That says a lot. This is a whole lot for Matt Morgan, because Steiner's a well-known guy. Look at Bully Ray. You know, Bully Ray, even as much as I hate the fact that they broke up 3D and it's become completely irrelevant, like it never existed as far as I'm concerned right now, I wish they would have retired, but in the same sense, Bully Ray is doing such a good job of putting AJ over. Even though AJ lost, the whole build-up and promotion and all that shit to the match is fucking phenomenal. And the match they had Slammiversary was incredible. As far as I'm concerned, it was a great last stand match. I thought it was really good. And AJ lost, but he lost because he went for an elbow off the top of the fucking, whatever you want to call it, so high up off the ground through the table. And when he went to get up, Bully Ray kicked him through the stage. He was so winded and so hurt from the dive that he couldn't get up. And Bully Ray got up by using the rail, and he fell right back down to 10 count. He couldn't even stay up. So they were making it look like that AJ Styles really looked good. He didn't. To me, that made him go over. Even though to me he's already over, but to the mainstream fan base of wrestling, he's not going to be over until he gets that win. And I can see these young guys going to that point right now where they are going to get those wins over those guys that are going to make them relevant. And I like that. Thank you, Bubba Ray, for doing something like that. Thank you, Scott Steiner. Thank you, TNA, for booking it. Number 6, and this kind of goes into something I was saying there as well. I said that, to the mainstream media of wrestling, these guys have to go over, else no one's going to really buy into them. Those mainstream fans. Those mainstream fans, most of them are huge WWE fans. And what they like is that opera-based, dramatic characters and all that. Even though they had characters and stuff back in WWE way back in the day, now it's more, become almost the whole show pretty much. And that's what people like. And people say, well, TNA became entertainment. That was retarded. Even though they call themselves Impact Wrestling now, they still have that build-up of story and the characters with the emotions and all that stuff thriving now. So they become more entertainment-based, and if they didn't do that, they wouldn't be in competition. They'd be out of business probably right now. Because like I said, the people that watch wrestling on TV, the majority of that mainstream wrestling fan base, 75% of them don't just care about the wrestling. If it was just wrestling, they wouldn't watch it. If they aired PWG on USA, nobody would probably watch it because there's no storylines. It's based upon wins and losses. Even though I love that, the mainstream audience wouldn't. So for TNA becoming entertainment based and doing these things they needed to do, that's what kept them alive. And thank you, TNA, for doing that, because if not, I don't think you'd still be around right now. So thank you for changing and becoming different. And now that your wrestling is starting to get back on a par a little more now, eventually your storylines will be as good as the wrestling is. And eventually you'll find that medium point. And in my opinion, you guys can beat the WWE. You've been around almost 10 years. Put up some advertisements. I think it can be done. So thank you, TNA, for staying around. And regardless of what anyone says about you guys are fucking awesome. So fuck what everybody says. Even me, when I bash you guys, I still love you. I do it because I love you. That's why I do it. And that's why I'm doing this video. For real. And number 7, going into the last reason again, I love the rebranding of Impact Wrestling. Because even though they're entertainment based now, calling themselves a wrestling promotion and then showing some better wrestling and showing better stories shows that you care more about the show even more. That's the whole point. You guys have been trying to move on, like I said, number 6 for the last year and a half, 2 years maybe. Ever since since about maybe 2009 going to 2010. But now it's really taken off since the rebranding to Impact Wrestling. And that's fucking amazing. And that's what Hulk Hogan there. So for as much as I bash Hulk Hogan, fuck you, Hulk Hogan, brother. At least he sees that the X Division was relevant, And it's what made TNA something, and he's bringing them back. At least he's seeing and letting the younger guys be somebody finally now. And that whole rebrand is what's doing it. So thank you to TNA for the rebrand of Impact Wrestling. Thank you very much. And in other videos I said it was a good idea because they already buried TNA's name. I said that because I was mad. And you know what? It was my opinion then, and when I'm frustrated, I'm going to say what I want to say. And even though I still agree on that fact that they did a good job by changing Impact Wrestling so it wouldn't further bury the name TNA Wrestling, if they were still calling it TNA Wrestling right now and going the direction they're going right now, I wouldn't be saying that about TNA Wrestling right now because it got better in the last month and a half. So I would give it that credibility and not say that. Just to me, that month and a half makes up for the last 2 years because all the years before that they had wrestling greatness. So as far as I'm concerned, they've already made up for the fact. Number 8. Okay. I like the fact that they let go of Jeff Hardy. Oh my God, I get bashed. He was so drugged up and drunk on so many shows, and he could have hurt so many fucking people. Victory Road was the fucking end of it all. Thank fucking God before he hurt somebody in the ring or did something that was going to make that company look more than an embarrassment than it did off of that show. I respect you guys so much for making the right decision for your workers and the people that watch the show to get rid of him. Let him go get some help. Thank you, TNA, for taking him off your roster. Thank you. You people can bash me for that all you want. I don't give a fuck. That's fine. Number 9. I spoke about how TNA was in the past and just about wrestling, but what I really didn't focus on too much of is about how much I loved it. Back in the day, TNA was only an hour show, and an hour show they had 30, 40 minutes of wrestling. They really did. I swear to God. And the storylines weren't that great, like I said earlier, but the wrestling was fucking phenomenal. And I loved it. And there were so many matches that left me in awe. Like nowadays, unless I watch like something from Japan or some indie matches sometimes, really leave me with that, because it really takes more than a bunch of flips to make me impressed. That means nothing to me. And in the X division back in the day, or even in the heavyweight division, these guys did some incredible moves, some suplexes and some, things of that nature that I had never really seen before. That was back when I wasn't an indie wrestling fan. I never seen a lot of that stuff. And TNA is the reason I got into indie wrestling, because I seen all these guys and I've heard of them before. Who the fuck are these guys? And then come to find out when I looked them up on Google that they wrestle for this company and this company. So what did I do? I looked up these companies and I found out they have these little indie promotions you can order these shows from. They'll send it to you and you can watch it. And that's how I got into indie wrestling. So I love Teenage Wrestling History because I owe them for that. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have found other things. I probably would have been just stuck on WWE all these years. So thank you. Thank you, TNA, for having great wrestling history. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be into other things right now, including you guys. So thank you. What made me get into you guys was an X Division match. I was flipping through the channels one day. I slipped on a TNA. I saw wrestling, and the move that I saw was the Canadian Destroyer. And I kept it on the channel. I went to the next match, and I was blown away. I saw Monday Night Raw the next week, and the matches that were on, and I was like, man, this is kind of boring. Thank you, TNA. Thank you. Love you guys for introducing me in a whole new generation of stuff that I'd never seen before. Thank you. I had seen ECW and whatnot in the 90s, but that's it. Other than WCW and WWF or WWE. My point proven. Alright.